What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Mr. Cincinnati. And as always, I'm joined by the Canadian Dream, the son of a security systems technician, the podcast dad, Choops. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Oh, man, you commented and said you really like the shirt. I very much appreciate that pre-show. I do have a hat that goes with this, though.
I'm sure that you do. What's on the hat? Enlighten our audience.
Bear with me.
We all know what it is.
I do have the hat.
Okay,
I like it. It matches the shirt. I might have a towel tomorrow, so just be prepared. The more
did they just mail it out in stages?
So fun fact about this as well. Just real quick, go ahead and say something. Go ahead and plug something.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Remember to follow us on X at Junkies Pod, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Junkies Pod, but do us a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on the road to 500 subs. We need your help to get there. We're at 426. Tell one person. Podcast Dad, you ready?
Tell one person if you like what we're doing here. Look, I'm wrestling. I'm football. I'm amazing. It's great. He's good. Yes, but according to Fanatics, the Eagles have set the record for merchandise sales by a Super Bowl champion in the first 24 hours of a title clinch. The Eagles are also Fanatics' best-selling champion across all sports for the first 24 hours post-championship clinch. Also, the Eagles and the Chiefs were statistically the most watched Super Bowl of all time. So all the people saying, oh, I'm not going to watch, I'm going to boycott. Go Birds.
Couldn't have said it better myself while you're at it. Follow the Main Event Wrestling Network at @main_event_ on all social media platforms. There is a main event mixer coming up this weekend. The crew is going to be breaking down NXT Vengeance Day. I believe this is going to be a pre-show, if I am not mistaken. I believe that we've got Great Brown Hope here in the chats, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, he out here. So good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, I'll let you deal with that. I'm not even going to touch it. I'm not even going to touch it.
They hate us because they ain't us. That's why. You know what this says? Champion. Come at me.
And hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us tonight. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on the Wrestling Junkies podcast. This is episode 298. Dude, can you fucking believe that?
Wow. That means we get 299 tomorrow, and then Monday.
Yeah. Monday we start with 300. Yeah.
Wow. Look at that.
Coming up on 2 years of the Wrestling Junkie podcast, you know?
Crazy.
And it turns out that is not the Green Brown Hope. That is just Kyle co-opting his catchphrase here. So
too sweet, Kyle. I gotta sneeze again. So go ahead.
Okay. I think that is everything in the way of our plugs. Oh, real quick, make sure you follow our friends at Coastal Empire Wrestling at CEW Savannah. We will be releasing After the Empire and Coastal Countdown this week. Shout out again to Jay Alpha Miller, Chad Skywalker, and Randall Reno III for joining us. It was about what the fuck we'd expect. So, hey,
1/3's always good,
It could be worse.
It could be.
Anyway, I think that is about it for now. I think it's time to introduce our guest right now. Right now, we're being joined by a new friend of ours, Chris Page of CCP Podcasting, one of our favorite new podcasts. I mean, he is absolutely crushing the game right now with his interviews. He is coming off literally of just recording a brand new interview before hopping on with us, but he's going to talk a little bit of NXT with us. So without further ado, he's been a busy man. Let's get this going. Chris Page, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, guys. How y'all doing?
Couldn't be any better for the next 300
Eagles fan. So he's
362 days.
Are you really going to count every fucking? All right.
Congratulations on 300 coming right around the corner, guys.
Oh,
thank you.
Let me start by saying that.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. I love the podcast, Dad. I adore him. It's just this is one part of him that is really, really going to be a pain in the ass for the foreseeable future. But there's nobody else. Okay, there's nobody else that I would rather do this with on a daily basis. But enough about us, Chris. You are new to our audience here, so before we kind of dive into NXT and what's going on right now, tell us a little bit about you, how you got started, what are you working on these days, what can people get excited about for you?
I think the better question is, what am I not doing right now? And I hate to say that and say it that way, but the independent wrestling scene has given so much to me over the last literally year and a half. We started our platform in his trial and error, and really like dove into the independent scene, and I started a Twitch channel on a whim, and honestly did this because I had one guy who told me that I'd never hit 1,000 on YouTube doing independent wrestling and that I was wasting my time. So fast forward a year and a half later, we're right around the corner from 800. We are constantly growing and have been able to network and meet a lot of really good people all over the world. What started as literally looking up an Australian fed a year and a half ago has turned into a lot of really good relationships with a lot of great companies, mainly overseas. But we do some stuff here in the States. We're starting to, we did some stuff with the One Division Pro. I think I talked to you guys about that prior too, but you can catch us on Twitch, man. We film a lot of our shit live. Excuse me. Is that?
No, say whatever the fuck you want, man.
Fly.
Perfect. All right. We're not made for children either, but we do everything on Twitch. Monday nights at 7 p.m. Inside the Industry. We watch an independent show that we've never seen before from a different company. On Thursday nights, we spotlight a different independent worker from here in the States, mostly. Saturdays, we're down the rabbit hole is what we call it, and we're throwing a dart at the wall and seeing where it lands and finding a fed and invading their YouTube and watching their stuff. All this is sight unseen. Like, we have no context. We come in and give our genuine opinion on it. And we're not. I think we're a little different than is. We don't deal with negative, right? There's enough negative in the world as is. We're not here to add to it. So even if something's sloppy or if something may not be the best, we're not focused on that. We're going to talk about how quick did you recover. We're going to talk about how fast did you get back on track. Did you get your crowd back into it? There's a lot of things to this. And I think part of it is because I was in the business 99 to 05. So I wasn't, I didn't have a long run by any means, but I know how this shit works, and and I'm able to look at it from a different eye. And I think that is now what a lot of people are starting to appreciate. And you're correct. I literally, the last 12 hours, I talked to Tim Bosby last night. I talked to TK Cooper today from Sunshine Machine over in the UK. We just wrapped that up. It's insane. But the truth of the matter is like, we wouldn't be where we are without the guys, the girls, the companies putting the product out there for us to discover. And I think that's the best part about our adventure so far. And it's really just getting started, because there's so much great independent wrestling everywhere.
Yeah.
You just got to go look for it. And when you find it, brother, it's a rabbit hole worth going down.
Yeah. And actually, that leads me to my next question for you before we really kind of dive into NXT here. You, like you said, you've started wrestling in 1990, wrestled for a good period of time. What have you noticed about how people discover independent wrestling? Compared to when you first started out to now, especially when you are going so sight unseen into discovering new promotions yourself.
So I think, like, back in the day, the internet wasn't a thing, right? Like, so you didn't have that at your disposal. You weren't able to look stuff up. But my secret sauce is simple. YouTube algorithm is a beautiful thing. And when you start typing in individual matches, again, like Saturdays we do our UK spotlights at 3 p.m. and we do our wrestling requests live on Sundays at 3 p.m. And that is where literally I'm typing in all these different matches. YouTube's algorithm is populating stuff, right? Mm-hmm. You should watch this. How do I get my indies? YouTube tells me I should watch this. Based on your current search, you should watch this. So I'll pull the show and we'll throw it on a stream and we'll watch it.
Love it.
There's been good, there's been great, there's been bad, and there's been fucking ugly. But the truth of the matter is we can always find something good in what we're watching, even if it's not the best. You can still find something there to prop up versus trying to tear down. You know what I mean? Like, again, it just falls back on keeping things positive and not catering to the negative that can exist in the realm.
Yeah. Can you speak on kind of like what you're saying, like trying to stay positive and being in the business since 99? Have you seen an evolution in that, of how we're starting to get a little bit more positive, because there was a time where the internet wrestling community was toxic as hell.
It's
Are we seeing a turn yet?
No, it still
No.
is. It's and this is the thing. I personally, yes, obviously I have social media, but I think it's the bane of all existence. I'm not a fan, and the only reason I utilize social media is so that I can get our stuff out there.
Yeah.
If you go to our pages, well, my pages, I don't do a whole lot of random posting. Like, it's either show related, or we're tweeting or retweeting talent, or retweeting feds, or retweeting all this various things. And moving forward, I'm not a fan. I think that social media is kind of it's where everybody can go and say whatever the fuck they want to say, because there's nobody there to tell them no, and there's nobody there to police them, and it really it's that hard catch-22. Like back in my day when I was in the ring, keep in mind there was no internet. Like, it was in its infancy. So we didn't have to really deal with a lot of the bullshit that comes along with some of the internet wrestling community, because I think kind of the biggest thing is people just feel like they want to be heard. And sometimes it's not the best. I wish some people in general would just know where the off switch is and just back up. Here's the case in point. I'm not the biggest AEW fan. You're not going to see me go and slam their shit. You're not going to see me, if there's something that I don't like, somebody asks me about it, I'd rather not talk about that. But what I will talk about is, did you see this spot right here in this piece of the show? You know what I mean? Like, I just would rather not. And I learned that. I tell people all the time, I didn't start adulting until I was 32. So I've been an adult for 10 years. So I didn't start thinking this way until 10 years ago. But since I, changed your mentality, things start happening for you. And I talk about real quick, and I know we got to get on to NXT, but I do want to touch on this real quick, because he's going to fucking slap me if I don't. Travis Orndorff, son of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. When I say wrestling and what I've done has opened up a lot of doors, I do a lot of work with him on his podcast. It's called Hope is Wonderful. It's over on the Legacy page of Paul Orndorff over on YouTube. I think it's Paul Orndorff WWE. I think they just changed it, WWE. And it's focused on, it's not a wrestling podcast. It is definitely, Travis is very open about his past addictions and how he's overcome them and where he is at now. And it is a very positive podcast for people who feel like you may have a substance issue, and you may feel like you're alone. You may feel like you don't have a way out, but you always do. And I encourage people, like, we're very open about that. We have an open door policy for anybody. If you need somebody to talk to, you can always hit us up. But I want to make mention of that. Hey, Lexi, I wanted to make mention of that because that's while I do get a lot of gratification out of what we are doing, that show right there that I'm not even a part of other than recording it and putting it together. That's the most gratifying thing that I think we've been able to do so far as a channel. And the guys that I work with too, I was able to put together really 5 of the best people that I could probably put together. I've got 2 or 3 guys here in the States, and I've got several overseas, and we are able to hone in on this shit like it's going out of style. It's fantastic to have like-minded people, on the ship and equally as passionate about what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean it's all about building the right community, and we've kind of seen all of the we've seen how mercurial wrestling fan bases can be. And Nick also says loves your outlook on things, and you guys stay positive in life and in wrestling, which we couldn't agree more, and certainly try to do our best to do here. Even the podcast that really pisses me off sometimes. But
the truth with me is, like, why I got out of the business to begin with. I have an addictive personality, and I went down the wrong path, and ultimately that was the piece that kind of put me to where I am now. right? As a person, like we all go through we all go through issues, we all go through problems, we all go through various situations, and I'm open about my past addictions, because again, they have formed me into who I am today. So I have no choice but to stay positive, because I've been to the lowest of lows, and now we're working our way back up to the highest of highs, and it takes work to do that, and you can't allow certain things to creep in.
Sure. Well said. Well said. Before we dive into NXT real quick, I want to shout out Justin from Nerds of Wrestling, incredible group that we follow on X. I think we're on their Facebook group as well. So everybody, if you're a wrestling fan, go check them out. Give them a follow. Thank you so much for retweeting and showing your support. Again, everybody, if you're new to our show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. We need your help to get there. And quite frankly, if everybody that is watching right now headed over to YouTube and hit subscribe real quick, we're at 500. So we would greatly appreciate that support. Again, not too many podcasts that are coming to you live 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week. So we've got some incredible stuff on the horizon and want to share all of that with you guys. So thank you again for joining us, and hope to see you again soon.
If you're with my base and you've come over here, like Lexi, I saw you a second ago. If you have not done so and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube, I'm going to be very disappointed. Paul, same for you.
Paul just did. So thank you.
There you go.
Greatly appreciate it.
You know what's up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, NXT Vengeance Day is around the corner. A handful of incredible matches here. Last show before, or wait, there's Roadblock that's coming, I believe, podcast that you said Roadblock.
That's in March.
Stand and Deliver. Okay.
Yeah, March 11th.
Okay. All right. So a couple more shows before Stand and Deliver, but this is a big one nonetheless. Podcast that I believe you have our card up. Where do you want to start?
We can just go ahead and start down at the bottom. So announced last night, Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams will be in a strap match. Kind of Eddie Thorpe's go-to match now. It seems like his kind of NXT Underground, if he were Lola Vice, something like that. Because he had one with Baron Corbin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So
that does ring a bell. Yeah. No, this is. I am excited that they're taking a chance with Eddie Thorpe. He was another one. I mean, there's a handful of talents that were just kind of slow out of the gate once they debuted in NXT. But the way that they have used this this storyline of getting him, faking his attack and getting a title shot out of it, making him a monster. Well, okay, not monster heel, but giving him some grit in the process. So, Chris, I'll start with you. What do you think about the build of this match, and who do you have winning?
I am ecstatic that it seems like they're finally doing something with Eddie Thorpe, and that's not a knock on Eddie. We've done a show on him. He really liked the product that we put out and focused on with him. I think that he's tremendous. I'm glad that he's getting the opportunity, because I feel like that's all he's really been missing. And when you're going in here with Trick, and who's face of NXT, literally probably the last year, it doesn't get bigger than this. I feel like the story that they've told on the way up with the title matches and Thorpe's slipping out of faults attacking himself, I thought that was fantastic. And it put heat on him in the right way. And if they're gonna pull the trigger on Thorpe, now's the time.
Yeah, this will be an interesting match, right? Because Trick's kind of in a bit of a holding pattern right now, right? Like, he's already been NXT champion twice. He's not in that title picture right now. And to be honest, like, I think Eddie Thorpe needs this win much more than Trick Williams. I don't think Trick gets hurt in a loss. I think Trick's going to be on the main roster by SummerSlam-ish. So maybe it's time for, Trick to start putting some people over, and Eddie, they need some heels, and Eddie Thorpe has done, a great job, for lack of a better term, like getting the ball and running with it. Like, hey, he's doing some really good work. So this would be a big win for Eddie Thorpe, and I think a much needed win for Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I agree. Yeah, especially, again, like you said, Trick has done everything that he can possibly do in NXT at this point. It's a matter of when, not if, he goes to the main roster. It's just, on the road to WrestleMania right now, this is and we kind of hear this on the indies as well. This isn't, going into WrestleMania, it's not the beginning of the new wrestling calendar, quote unquote. This is the end of the year. This is the reward and that opportunity for people that have been busting their asses all year. And Trick Williams is one of those guys. With how crowded the WrestleMania landscape is right now, the best use of him for the next couple of months is to try to help elevate some talent. Eddie Thorpe is one of those guys. And it's a very unique character that I'm hoping that this will bring some grit out of him. Like you said, this is a specialty match of his, so I'm excited to see it. But ultimately, it's time to get down to our predictions. Chris, we're going to start with you, and let's see what you got.
Oh man, I'm going Eddie Thorpe. I almost called him Carl Fredericks. I'm going Eddie Thorpe 100%. I feel like if they don't pull the trigger now, it's one of those situations where they could lose it. And with Trick being in the position that he's in, I mean, you gotta do the job here, and you gotta put him over. It does more in the long run for Eddie to pull the win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think Eddie Thorpe needs and should win.
I think it's unanimous here. This is an it's an opportunity to see what they have as far as a I won't call him main event, like a lower main event scene kind of guy. We've seen him challenge for the NXT championship before. Ultimately, even if he doesn't remain in the NXT title picture, a definitive win could help him out in the North American title picture. We're going to talk a little bit about the fact that the Tony D'Angelo program with Ridge Holland is now over, and there's going to need to be some lineup of what's next for him as well. Mr. OTM is in the chat. Remember to check out the OTM podcast tomorrow night. He's saying Trick wins and getting back to Oba for Stand and Deliver.
Very possible. Very possible.
Maybe.
I mean, I could see that happening too. I'm more concerned about Thorpe than I am with Trick. Excuse me, because I think Trick's status is solidified with NXT right now. Yeah. If you're going to make a new guy, this is the time to do it. Trick's the right opponent to do it with. It's the right situation. So it's definitely one. It's one that to watch. This is a toss up, but I really think Thorpe pulls it. I think he cheats his ass off, but I think he pulls it. Yeah. Even in a strap match, I still think he cheats his ass off.
Yeah, with his new character, he should. Moving right along, the NXT Tag Team Champions will be on the line. Fraxium will defend against Josh Briggs, and I'm going to butcher this name, and I apologize. Yoshaki Inamura, I think. He's from Pro Wrestling Noah. So when Briggs did the Noah thing, he's now brought his tag partner over. They won a really good triple threat tag match last night. Should be a really good match. I think Fraxium was the tag team of the year last year. I have not seen a bad match out of these guys. I think they retain, but I'm excited to see some fresh challengers in this tag division because they desperately need some new blood for Fraxium to go against.
Yeah, no, Chris, let me know what you got as far as the tag team title picture. This is kind of really the first example of Noah coming to WWE as far as that working relationship. We've seen Omos go over there and have success. Josh Briggs has gone over and had success. First time the other way around. Tell us your thoughts on this partnership, what you would like to see out of it going forward, and who you got.
I was a little disappointed that we didn't get Noah representation at the Rumble, to be fair. I thought we could have got one from Noah over to the Rumble. I'm excited for this, and I'm going to tell you why. Really, it boils down to the implementation of Pro Wrestling Noah into NXT. Yes, we have seen Almost go overseas. He picked up the tag titles over there. Mm-hmm. We've seen Briggs go over. This is Briggs' partner. It's the first exposure to our market for this particular individual. If I'm not mistaken, I could be totally wrong. But I feel like if they really want to make a statement, I'm going to go opposite our pod dad here, and I'm going to say that we crown new NXT Tag Champions, and I say that just because Omos went over there in his first match and picked up that strap. Yeah, and it could be an interesting dynamic. Axiom has been there for a minute, right? Isn't that the tag name? If the
Fraxium,
Fraxium. They've been kind of the staple. for the better part of the last year or so. It's not going to hurt them to lose the championships and chase them again. And if anything, if they're gonna, and WWE has shown so far that they're really open to collaborating. You look at the stuff with TNA, you look at the stuff that they've already done there. So if you're going to collaborate and you're going to pull a switch, this could be a time to do it.
Okay.
Facts,
Okay.
right there. Surprise win. There you go.
Yeah.
I feel you.
It's this one's tough because I think that I have been predicting for the better part of a year when I think it would be time for Fraxium to lose the tag titles, and I've been wrong every time. And I think that that's a good thing because they have been not just the most consistent tag team in NXT, but all of WWE. The way that they have been presented, the way that Shawn Michaels has booked their challengers, and how hungry they are for those titles. We have seen the teases of dissension. We've seen the teases of desiring single success, which is natural because they did not come into WWE as a tag team naturally. They were paired together. So I think it was only organic that they would tease some of that dissension, but they have taken every challenge that they have been handed during this title run and have knocked it out of the damn park. While, yes, I think that this could be a surprise win, I have been wrong far too many times. Give me Fraxium here to retain these tag team titles.
Boo that man. Boo that man.
I'm going to change my pick. Just kidding. Another match announced last night. Javon Evans will take on Ethan Page. So Javon Evans is now cleared. This is a big match. I think this would be a really, really big match because I think what Kyle said earlier about Trick Williams maybe going after Obafemi at Stand and Deliver, I think Javon Evans is going to go after Obafemi at Stand and Deliver and have just a big time clash of styles, big time. This is the future kind of match. Yeah, and I think Javon Evans is going to get the win over Ethan Page because I think Ethan Page will be main roster bound sooner rather than later, and it's the babyface. He needs to come back and kick the heel's ass. That's pro wrestling 101. So I'll take Javon Evans.
I'm liking this. I like the story that they've done here.
Yes,
I really enjoy how they've played this and how they've gotten us to this point. I don't see Evans losing this. I don't see it happening. Page can take the loss and move on because absolutely, I feel like he's moving on to the main roster sooner rather than later. And really and truly, I think Trick's in that same boat. Personally, I just think that they're both probably going to be called up by SummerSlam, if not SummerSlam Survivor Series ish. I don't think that we wait, or actually Mania after Mania could be their call up. I forgot that's right around the corner. I think ultimately this is Javon Evans to win, and he comes back strong.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% across the board. What Javon Evans has done in such a short time on the NXT roster is just fucking remarkable. I mean, we were at Scenic City Invitational last year and we were talking about how the 2023 winner, Jay Malachi, main eventing in NXT PLE not even a year after winning that tournament. He's got all the momentum in the world behind him. Ethan Page has nothing else that he needs to do in NXT at this point. Kind of working towards the end of this Lose My Smile gimmick. I think it is time to transition him to the main roster. He's got one of those bold, brash personalities that, the main event scene could use, or mid-card scene, I should say, on the main roster, because the Revolution is televised. Ricky Starks is AEW No More. He debuted in NXT last night. Shocked the fuck out of everybody in that building. Chris, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on Ricky Starks signing with WWE?
Well done. Long time coming. I mean, I can armchair quarterback AEW all day, every day, but it's not going to do anybody any good. I'll say this. There's no reason why AEW shouldn't be drawing 1 million+ viewers with the roster that they have. Ricky Starks leaving is a big hit, whether AEW wants to admit it or not. It's a big hit. I think everybody with half a brain saw this coming. I think it's well deserved. I did not expect him to pop on NXT though. I thought that he would have done something main roster worthy, but I'm not mad at it either. because again, Starks he's a veteran. Don't get me wrong, but WWE style is a different style. It's just completely, it's a different thing. I am all for like having an Ethan Page run and hanging out for 6 months, run a couple of stories, get a feel for how their machine runs, and then you can get him up to the main roster no problem, without having that trial adapt period. I'm here for it. I think Starks has been horribly underrated going back to his days in the NWA. I mean, but way before AEW was just think he was underrated the whole way around. I think now is the time, and Starks is finally going to get what he has, get the positive side of the business after being sidelined for so long. I think it's interesting that he debuts right after he picked up an indie belt, like literally this past weekend. So I'm real curious to see how that's going to play, unless they're going to let him go back and do business. But I'm here for it. I think it's great. I think Starks is a welcomed addition to the WWE. I really, really now think that eventually we'll get that Ricky Starks Rock confrontation at some point, and we can put the bullshit to bed and let these boys go to work.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've said it. WWE's fumbled a bunch of guys and gals. AEW's fumbled a bunch of guys and gals. This is the good thing about having two major wrestling companies right now, is that they can go somewhere else and still be on major television.
Facts.
With this, I think we're starting to see that wave that we saw when AEW first came around of, oh man, I wish this WWE guy would go over there because they get used so much better over there. Or this WWE, wrestler, him, her, whoever, right? Go over to AEW because they're going to get used so much better. John Moxley comes to mind. Like, oh man, what are they going to do with him? Claudio, like everybody that you could think of.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see that flip. Like, hey, look what Penta's doing. Oh man, they look what they've done with Ethan Page. Oh, look what they're going to do with Ricky Starks. Look what they're going to do when Malachi Black comes back. Like, we're seeing that kind of wave tilt back. And look, AEW's not going anywhere. WWE's not going anywhere. There's going to be waves in this. And yeah, this is exciting. And again, this is why having a healthy wrestling world right now and being a positive, wrestling fan is a good thing, because we have two major companies where I get to go watch Bryan Danielson have a hell of a final run for his career. I get to watch Sting have the proper run for his final, career. I get to go watch Copeland do some awesome stuff over in AEW. On the flip side, now I get to go see what the machine can do, or what Ricky Stark can do when the machine's behind him. Like, this is going to be very exciting. I'm pumped for this. He should be in the title scene next week. So I'm excited to see what this is.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's kind of been an open secret that Starks would be WWE bound, just given the relationship with Cody Rhodes and how highly Cody thinks of him. This is a great fit. Much like Ethan Page, Ricky Starks does not need to be here long. He can wrestle. He can talk. This is just kind of a, we know the NXT universe knows who he is because they clearly went banana. This is just an introduction to WWE TV and presentation and kind of how they do things from a technical aspect, not necessarily what he brings as far as his in-ring ability. So I'm really fucking excited to see what they do with Ricky Starks. I'm hoping that once Mania season is over and dust settles, we'll finally start to see where these pieces are going to fit as far as what's that?
That's why you don't put him on the main roster right now.
Yeah,
because I think he'd get lost in the Mania shuffle at the moment.
Yeah.
Let him go to NXT. Let him be a star down there for a minute. After the Mania dust settles and we kind of, have our players where they need to be, then you bring a Ricky Starks up to make an impact.
Agreed. Gentlemen, we've got 3 more matches left to cover. First up, Fallon Henley, Stephanie Becerra, NXT Women's North American Championship. It kind of took us a while to figure out, when the Julia, Stephanie, Zarya dynamic first kind of appeared on our TV screens, where things were going to go. Obviously, Julia is in the women's title picture. Stephanie Becerra is here in the North American title picture, which I think a lot of us suspected would be kind of how that's sorted out. Podcast Dad, I'm going to start with you on this one. Who you got in this match? You excited for the build?
The build's been fine. I think Fallon Henley's going to win. And I know that's kind of like, hey. I see Vakor as more of a main eventer. And I don't see her taking this mid-card title. Like, I just don't see it. I think you got to have her with a little bit of adversity right now and kind of work her way back up. We have Roadblock in between Stand and Deliver. There's another chance for her to go earn a shot at the NXT Women's title. And I think the match you want at Stand and Deliver is probably Julia and Stephanie Vakor. Give me Fallon Henley. I don't think she needs this title right now. So give me Fallon Henley.
Chris?
I like that logic. It tracks. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into this one, and truthfully, that's my own fault. I'm a busy guy. It doesn't stop. I kind of like how Podcast Dad just put that, and I do feel like that's a match that they need to fall on, and that is a Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big fight feel, especially for NXT for the Women's Championship. I like Fallon Henley here. I mean that may be a dark horse pick, but you sold me on that. I think that's the way to go. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Zyra. It's Delta Brady. I've covered her for a year and a half before she got called up, and this is going to be when they unhook that trailer and they let her go. Look out, gentlemen! Look out, because she's a beast. You haven't seen a piece of what she can do yet.
Yeah. I think that's the North American title route. I think that would be your match at Stand and Deliver rather than Vakor defending it against somebody. Go ahead, Mr. Cincinnati.
No, I definitely think that is where she will end up. I've liked Zarya's placement in the tag team division for right now, simply because everybody's got to fit somewhere. And we've been, especially on our show, we've certainly been critical about the presentation of the women's tag team championships and kind of the need for teams for them to compete against. Even if it's one-off alliances that may not last long, it does complement some of the more established teams that we have. But yeah, no, Stephanie, very clearly future NXT Women's Champion. Before the Royal Rumble, I would have been willing to venture that Julia would not be long for NXT. That reaction that she received from the crowd concerned me, and that makes me think that she'll probably stick around NXT a little bit longer. This is their chance to essentially, to right the ship there and mold her into somebody that will make you turn heads and say, "Oh shit!" Like, think of her in the same vein as a Kairi Sane or an Asuka. But as far as the NXT Women's North American Championship is concerned right now, call me crazy. I'm still going to say Stephanie. Fallon it's been a fine title reign for Fallon Henley. I was excited to see what they were going to do with her as a heel, just because it was such a character shift from what we had seen with her and Briggs and Jensen. I think that as far as my prediction, I'm gonna go Stephanie on this one to get the W.
That's fair.
No.
This match turned into a 4-way for the NXT Women's Championship. Julia, Bayley, Roxanne, and Cora Jade. A lot of moving parts in this one. I think Roxanne and Bayley are going to do something on the main roster as far as feuding. I think that may be a Mania program, maybe for a mid-card title coming up. Fingers crossed. Give me Julia on this one. Because, again, I think that's who you want to be the champion at Stand and Deliver. You made such a big deal when her and Oba won those titles last month that a 1-month title reign, probably not going to happen. So you put her in this kind of 4-way peril and give her this big challenge, let her get over the hump. There may be a Stephanie Vakor waiting after that, maybe a Jordan Grace waiting after that. We don't know yet, but something is waiting for her afterwards. I don't think it's going to be Bayley, who's already on the main roster, winning the NXT title. I don't think it's going to be Roxanne, who's already 1 foot in the door of the main roster. And I don't think it's going to be Cora Jade because I don't think she's quite there yet. So I'll take Julia.
Yeah, champ retains. I'm same boat. I just don't. I see adding the different parts with Bayley and with Roxanne.
Mhm.
I think you're on the right track there. I think that's a surefire program elsewhere. I think one of them is probably going to be the fall, and depending on what they want to do with Cora, that could be. There's another PLE for NXT in between now and Mania. That could be the setup there for Julia and Cora to have a singles, and that way you get to we get to what we want to see at Mania for NXT. My thoughts on that. Yeah, I think champ retains.
Yeah, I do too. Paul wants to see Cora win it.
You're
I
wrong.
want to see Cora Jade as NXT Women's Champion. I really, really do. I just don't think that we're quite there yet. And Podcast Ed, we've talked about this on our show a few times before. The heel Cora Jade hasn't necessarily, at least in my opinion, I don't think it's clicked that the way that they may have wanted it to. I know that she had the ACL injury that kind of slowed down what she was doing with that character, and we're kind of starting from scratch here. But I don't think that it helped her to have that, to reunite her with Roxanne just to tease the friction, especially as Roxanne's on the way out the door. Unless we're getting that kind of Gargano Ciampa type blow off to end Roxanne's time on NXT. I mean, there's still certainly time to build towards that. I think much like with the initial Roxanne heel turn, there's a little bit more seasoning that Cora needs. As fucking talented as she is, there's a reason they call Roxanne the Prodigy. It just seemed like she picked up everything when it came to this heel character right away. And I don't think the Cora's there just yet. That's not to say that she won't. I just don't think that elevation starts this weekend. So give me Julia to get the win. I think that it is Cora that takes the L.
Fair.
All right. Main event. Obafemi defends the NXT Championship against Austin Theory and Grayson Waller in a triple threat match.
Do we all need to even get
anybody?
Is this wait, is this a fucking thing for real?
Oh,
this is a thing.
Next.
So Obafemi gets the win here. No, I don't hate the idea of this because Austin Theory, I think a return to NXT would be helpful. Crowds are more appreciative of him as far as NXT Universe is, more so than main roster. I mean, the turn on Grayson chance he had a couple of weeks ago, like I think there's potential for a babyface run here, especially keeping him in the main event picture. Former 2-time United States champion, former tag champion, former Money in the Bank winner. Like there is a resume to keep him at the top of the pecking order, especially when you think about a Ricky Starks coming in. That's a promo battle that I could get behind watching is Austin Theory and Ricky Starks. I think that a return there could be good. Grayson Waller, it just kind of seemed like Grayson's the front man, Theory is the sidekick. That's how he's been positioned, especially with Grayson Waller effects and things of that nature, that the return to NXT is not a bad thing. It does wonders for people's careers from what we've seen if done properly.
I could see that, but I'll go to this. I go to the positioning. How have they positioned Waller and Theory going into this match prior to? What have, I have to believe, right? I can only suspend so much of that. And that's not a knock. I think Grayson Waller is tremendous. If you've seen his stuff from Australia before he signed on with the WWE, fantastic fucking wrestler. But this is where I say, you got to learn WWE style. If they would and same thing it could be said for Austin Theory in this case. I would have much more respect on his name if they would let him be Austin Theory from Evolve, or from early, like let him be him because he was a fucking prodigy before he signed with the WWE on the independent scene. Like if they allow them to do this, then yes, this has potential to be a sleeper fucking match. It really does. I'm not trying to talk negative or down talk, the fact that these two are involved in it. They do bring aspects to the table. I just need for the E to let them do their thing and let them take the handcuffs off. And then we have a completely different conversation to have. If we're going to get peak Austin Theory, peak Grayson Waller, and peak Femi, that's a little bit tighter. And I would lean a little bit more to Austin Theory in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But with how things have been presented, I think this is just a bump in the road for the new champ, and it's setting up for something else. Maybe we do get that turn, and you do get that babyface run out of Theory. Maybe that happens here. Okay, I can get on board with that. If it's done correctly and they do it the right way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of possibilities.
They're new to Raw as well, so this could be a story that follows them back to the main roster as well, potentially. But yeah, no, I mean, there's no reason to stop anything related to Obafemi right now. No, let that man hold that title as long as he wants. And I don't.
There's a reason he wasn't in the Rumble.
Yeah. How do you get rid of him? That's the first question that comes to mind.
He wasn't in the Rumble. So, look, like I said, you guys are pros. Obafemi, go out there, look strong. Theory, Waller, go out there and make him look good. That's kind of where we're at. It's going to be, I mean, I think it's going to be a good match, but
yeah,
Obafemi's going to win this. Like, next.
Yeah, I agree.
Does this main event, or does the 4-way main event?
I think your 4-way main events.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think maybe
this is not. Yeah,
I think you open with if they're booking this for Oba to look strong. Well, he's going to do that by walking out of the curtain. I think you start with this,
can do that,
and then you build to everything else around it. Yeah, I mean, that's just there is a pretty loaded card here.
6-match card.
You could even go the direction of wild card. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
It's all good.
You could almost put Evans and I just drew a blanket Page. You can almost put Evans and Page in that main event slot with the story that they've told.
Yeah.
If it's going to be there's possibility.
Mm-hmm. There is.
Yeah.
There is.
Well, it is going to be a damn entertaining show. Remember, you can also check out the main event mixer this weekend where the rest of the crew will be giving their predictions as well. Remember, you can follow them at mainevent_net. Chris, Paige, thank you so fucking much for joining us. This is the first time that you've appeared on the Wrestling Junkies podcast, but we've got a good feeling it won't be the last. So before we wrap up here, tell everybody where they can find you on social media. The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, guys, first of all, thank you for having me in this evening. I think it's been great. You guys have been tremendous, just on the whim of a DM. Like, it's really been fun, and my door's open. I still want to get you guys on, one of my plethora of shows.
Absolutely.
Whenever you guys have the time, you hit me up. But for you guys out there, if you have not heard of us before, you want to dive into what we have going on over on YouTube at CCP Podcasting. Very simple. Straight to the point. Hit the subscribe button. We're right around the corner from 800. We're shooting for 1,000 by, I'm thinking September-ish for my 43rd would be a fantastic birthday present. So I could give the middle finger to anybody who says that you can't do something or that what you're doing is fucking stupid. Nobody is stupid. Nobody in what you're doing is believe in what you're doing. You're going to be successful. You can get me on social media at Fireside Page, over on Instagram, CCP_podcasting. I've got a roster of guys that work with me on a weekly basis. We're filming 14 hours of live content on Twitch, CCPE Podcasting there. Give us a follow and be notified. You can just jump in and interact with us while we're watching independent wrestling. You never know what you're going to see. It's a fun adventure.
Well, yeah, we certainly can't wait to hop on. Our door's always open. You know that we're always down, just a DM away. Chris, thank you so much once again. Thank you to everybody that is watching tonight. Again, shout out to the Nerds of Wrestling group. Once again, guys, if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel. If everybody watching right now goes over to YouTube, hit subscribe. We're clearing that goal. We're at or past 500 subscribers. But most importantly, just tell one person.
Just one.
If you liked what we're doing here, what you see is what you get with us. A pain in the ass Eagles fan, a diehard Bengals fan that is definitely jaded about what happened this season, and incredible guests. So yeah, okay, we get it. All right. But that is going to do it for us tonight. We will be back tomorrow for episode 299, breaking down what happened on Dynamite. Looking forward to next week ahead. 300 episodes of the Wrestling Junkies podcast, episode 300 this Monday. Check it out. We're going to be talking SmackDown. We're going to be breaking down NXT Vengeance Day. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Stick along with this ride. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Tell your mom. GorillaPressApparel.BigCartel.com. Promo code WJP2024 gets you 25% off site-wide. Shout out to the crew there. Follow Main Event Wrestling Network at mainevent_net. For Chris Page, for the podcast dad, I'm Mr. Cincinnati. This has been the Wrestling Junkies podcast. See you tomorrow.